Hello and welcome. I'm so happy you're watching this. And before we even jump in, I really want to acknowledge you for taking this first step and getting curious, for seeking out help, or randomly noticing help when it appears, depending on how you found this video, when it comes to stopping people pleasing, saying no, and learning how to create boundaries. Just being here and watching some of this is a huge step. For so long, or for myself for so long, when I was a people pleaser, before I started to be able to say no, to trust myself to say no, and to create boundaries that were aligned with who I want to be and the impact I want to have in the world, before that, it felt impossible to say no. It felt like this is the way I was, and there was no changing it. And I didn't actually do that much to try and change it, right? I think this is part of our pattern is that we say yes, 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 we say yes until we like literally can't. We feel like, I have to say yes, but I can't. I have no more capacity left mentally, physically, emotionally. I really, I need a pause button, right? I need to hit the pause button so that I don't have to say no to you, but I don't have to say yes either. And so that's where I was. So I really want to acknowledge you for noticing whatever it is about yourself that you've noticed and leaning in to learn more about it and how to shift it. And today we are going to look at the first couple of steps to learning how to say no and to create boundaries. Okay, the first step to any behavior change, habit change, context, or mind shift is to know where we are. And a lot of people skip this step. We tend to jump right into where do we want to go? Or what do I need to do to actually shift it? Right? My doers, my high achieving people, my perfectionists, I see you, I know you. You have to slow down. That has been one of the biggest benefits for me from coaching, from therapy, is this slowing down and being where I am. And then I can intentionally create my life. I can intentionally say no. I can intentionally say yes. I can intentionally create a boundary. And when I do it intentionally, I feel better about it. I know that it's aligned with who I want to be and the impact I want to have in the world. And so it's easier for me to do it. And as a fellow people pleaser, I'm sure that's what you want, right? You know, you could say no, but it ain't gonna feel easy. So let's make it feel easy. Okay, let's start with where we are. What I want you to do first is to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, whatever you call this behavior, people pleasing, unable to say no, unable to create boundaries, whatever it is that you're looking at of those, however you phrase it, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? So 10 is I always say no when I want to say no, and I rarely say yes when I want to say no. So I am creating the boundaries that I want, and I am upholding those boundaries the way I want to 90% of the time. I'm a coach, so I dislike all or nevers because none of y'all are perfect. I am not perfect, but 9 times out of 10, I am, again, saying no when I want to say no, saying yes when I want to say no, yes. And I have created the boundaries that I want to create that feel good for me, and actually support the people around me. And then on the flip side, so if you're at a 1, this was me previously, you rarely say no when you want to say no. You almost habitually say yes when anyone asks you for something. You don't really think about it. You don't believe that you can say no. And you think that or believe that boundaries are like some far off mystical thing, that they're for other people. Other people get to experience boundaries, but not you. And that's when you're a 1. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you right now? And what does it feel like? Do you feel anxious? Does it feel pitiful? Does it feel pathetic? Does it make you angry? Does it make you frustrated? Are you ashamed? What does it feel like? Does it feel like you're out of control? Does it feel like you're spinning? Does it feel like the world is getting away from you? Are you resentful of other people because they get to do what they want to do, but you don't because you just got to say yes to what everyone asks? What does it feel like where you are? All right. And then, like, what are all the judgments and the thoughts that you think today where you are? I hate that this is the case, but it feels like to me that people pleasing has a really negative connotation. So when you think of this way that you behave, this way you show up, this inability that you have, what's that like nasty, judgmental voice in your head? You know the one. Like, what are they saying to you? Oh, you're useless. How can you be like this? You have no power. You have no confidence. You're pathetic. Why haven't you changed yet? You're not tough enough. You let people walk all over you. But what are all the thoughts and judgments that you think today where you are? Okay. And now, what I would love for you to do is to write down a list of, I don't know, 5 to 10 things that could be true because we don't know everything about the world. We don't know everything about where everyone is in their life or situation. Um, about how your behavior is actually helpful and good. So I I hate that people pleasing has gotten the bad rap that it has. To me, it feels like, people think people pleasers are these awful, weak people walking around with no spine. And to be fair, I felt like that a little bit. But, you know, how many times was it the people pleaser who was the only person that was there for someone else? How many times would your friend have had to move on their own or done that activity on their own or whatever it was if you hadn't shown up? And these can be things that you know for sure, right? So you know for sure that your friend or your significant other or your colleague or coworker or boss asked other people and they didn't show up. Or they can just be things that could be true because we don't know oftentimes Most people don't come up and say, oh, you're the first person I asked and you said yes. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they don't. And so I invite you to look at what could be possible and give, again, like 5 to 10, examples or times where even if you didn't want to say yes, like that you saying yes helped this person out. Moving, cooking, helping with a work project, teaching them something, right? Going to a meeting you didn't want to go to, or taking that phone call, or, whatever it was, list for me 5 to 10 places, times, examples where your people pleasing, your inability to say no, your inability to create boundaries actually contributed good, because it does. It might not be what you want, but it actually does create good. Okay. This is hard for me, waiting, giving you time to do this. But I hate those videos where they just skip over the parts where you have to actually do the work. I hate when I watch like a 10-minute video or an hour's video and I've got an hour's worth of work to do after. It's like, I didn't create the time for that. So I'm building it in here. I am being with the uncomfortableness of now speaking and letting you do the work. Growth for me too. All right, you can hit pause if you need more time, but I want to keep it going for those um, who are done and want to keep moving. Okay, so the next thing I want us to do is to really, acknowledge these things, right? That we have contributed good. It wasn't the way we wanted to show up. We didn't want to help these people. We didn't do the extra mile. We wanted time for ourselves or our families or our own projects or whatever it was. And we did create good. We did contribute good. And so what I want you to do is write out a statement of acceptance. The statement that I have that I would love for you to take on is this is completely understandable and okay. I give myself permission to be where I am. So you have my permission to be exactly where you are. Consider that you had to help all the people you had to help because they needed you. Consider that you were meant to be this person because it wasn't until now that now is the time for you to start setting up boundaries, that the people around you are now at the place in their journey where they don't need you as much. Not that that's why we want to create boundaries, but really accept that you are part of a journey, your own journey, and everything you do contributes to other people's learnings as well. Maybe the person you've been saying yes to all the time, maybe their lesson was to not take advantage of people. And so they had to have you completely saying yes so that they could get to their own place where they were like, oh my God, I'm taking advantage of this person and I can't, or whatever it is. Anyway, right, you have my permission to be exactly where you are. It's perfect. You helped so many people up to this point, and now you're going to help yourself. Again, the statement that I would encourage you to embrace is where I am and have been is completely understandable and okay. I give myself permission to be where I am. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to, right? So the first step is to know where we are, which we've done. And the next step is where do we want to go? So if you think about what a 10 feels like, what does it feel like for you to always say no when you want to say no and say yes when you want to say yes? What does it feel like to create a boundary and uphold it and not feel guilty? To feel good about upholding your boundary and saying no. What is it like? What is possible for you? What is the life that you're living? How do you feel? Confident, courageous, empowered, like yourself, taken care of, you're rejuvenated, you're rested. What does it feel like? What does a 10 feel like? And I would even encourage you, if you're into this, is to write a letter to your future self, um, sort of acknowledging and celebrating who you've become. I would invite you to talk about in the letter, like, what is life like now that you've created the boundaries that you want to create? Now that you've learned to say no to others, what does it feel like? What does it feel like to say yes to yourself? What are you able to do? Where have you created the boundaries? What are the boundaries? How have you showed up that has made you proud? What struggles have you had to overcome? Is there more of something in your life, or what is there more of in your life now that you've created these boundaries and have the ability to say no? What is there less of in your life? What thoughts do you now think that you're standing in this place of a 10, 9 times out of 10, right? I would encourage you to take that on. I'm not going to provide space for it here because I'm going to jump into the next step, but that's another activity that I would encourage you to take on when we visualize, right, what we want to create. It reminds us why we want it. And for me, and most of my people, when I go into that like dreaming, visioning state, I actually start to feel it in my body. So I start to feel the power. I start to feel the joy. I start to feel the courage. I start to feel more grounded just by imagining what it could be like if I was creating the boundaries I wanted, if I was saying no where I want to say no. And so when we move through the world, we'll know, oh, that's how I want my body to feel, right? Because the mind, for my people, we're big overthinkers. So the mind is very tricky. It can overthink anything. It can convince us of anything that we need to say yes to all the things that we cannot say no, that we cannot create boundaries. It's very good. So I would encourage you to take that on. Okay, so now the next step to learning how to say no and create boundaries is what I call the pause. And so for my people and for me back in the day, I didn't think about it. I just said yes. Will you help me with this? Yes. Will you go to that meeting? Yes. Will you take on this project? Yes. Will you vacuum the floors? Yes. Can you go to the grocery store? Yes. Can you answer this call from your family? Yes, 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 yes. Didn't even think about it. And so, before we can get you to say no, what we want to do is stop you from saying yes, because for you, it's a natural, automatic habit. And so we want you to embrace the pause. And what that means is that from today, You don't have to start saying no at all. But what I want you to do is to find a way to pause, to stop automatically saying yes. So this can look like several different things. If you're in conversation, you could just count to 5, or you could start by counting to 3 before you say yes. Then you could build up to counting to 10 before you say yes. It could be, and I encourage people to come up with not an excuse, but something you're going to say. When somebody tells you something, unless you are a hell yes right then and there, I would encourage you to do this with everything that someone's asking you to do, and come up with like a catchphrase or something you're going to say in advance so you know. Okay, so if someone's asking me to go to an event or meet them or something like that, I'm going to say, I have to check the calendar. Can you text me the details and I'll get back to you? If somebody's asking me to do a chore or an errand or something else at work related, I would say, can you text me or email me or Slack me, however, you um, work, and I've got to check my to-do list and I'll get back to you. Or I've got to check with my boss and I'll get back to you. Or I've got to look at, what really needs to get done today and I will come back to you. Or let me write it down and I'll get back to you if I can do it. But something that breaks this automatic habit of saying yes. If you're getting requests in email, in text, I would invite you to, and this is one of my favorite habits actually, invite you to find a song that you absolutely love that is empowering for you. And I would play that song before you respond. So you get an email from your boss, your direct report, a colleague that says, oh, I need help with this project. Can you take a look at this? Play that song. Or start by playing 30 seconds of it or a minute of it or whatever it is, but play that song and then respond, right? You can have headphones in the office. It's easier if you're working at home, but you can have headphones wherever you are, in the office, in the gym, walking, running out, or like wherever you are, you can have headphones and you can just play part of it, and then respond. And you could say yes. You have my permission to say yes to all of the things still, right? We're not moving at light speed. You're not going to flip 180 degrees in 2 seconds. This is something you've been doing probably since you were a kid. So my guess is for 3 or 4 decades. You're not going to break it overnight. What we want to break and start working on is this automatic way of saying yes. We want to do this for a couple of reasons, right? One is, or a couple of reasons. One is we really do want to break this habit of you automatically saying yes. So you'll create space, and in the space that's created, you'll be able to decide eventually if you want to say yes or no. I'm going to teach you those habits in, the follow-up, the training that you can buy that will actually teach you how to say no, how to know when to say no, or when you want to say no and when you want to say yes. Just right now, we want to create this space so that you are breaking the habit of automatically saying yes, so that you will then have the pause to say no, to consider what you want. It also typically helps my clients see how often they're saying yes without thinking. Before we do this, I and my clients are typically, oh my God, I have no ability to say no. I can't. It's just everyone's asking of me. I have no power. It's just something that happens to me. People don't ask other people things, or they tell me, or whatever it is. And we start to feel like we don't have any power, any control. And it seems like that because we're automatically saying yes. We're not giving ourselves an option. And so by creating this pause, it actually reminds the brain and will remind you that, oh yeah, you're actually choosing to say yes here. And if we can choose to say yes, we can choose to say no eventually. So that's what the I don't know, third step, whatever it is, right? The sort of like real actionable step towards saying no and creating boundaries is to pause, to break the habit of automatically saying yes by, again, playing music, stepping away from the computer, going to the bathroom, stepping away from the phone, or having one of these, like catchphrases or automatic responses instead. I have to check the calendar. I have to talk to my spouse. I have to check the kids' calendars. I got to check my to-do list. I know my boss had something he wanted me to get done today, so let me check on that before I come back to you. Or I know my team wanted to see me, so let me check in with them before I come back to you on whether or not I can complete that. But something that's ready for you to say instead of just yes. And again, you can even just pause. You can just count to 3, build up to counting to 5, build up to counting to 10, and then maybe you'll say one of those other responses. It takes you as long as it takes you. And I would love for you to really accept and give yourself permission for it to take as long as it takes. Some of you might start doing it like this, and some of you might take longer. And that's okay. Again, it's not just your journey, but you are a part of everyone else's journey. And I would love for you to trust that you're moving at the speed that you're meant to, and that speed is okay. I would write down like 3 or 4, candid responses that you're going to use. And I would find your song that you're going to play, if you can. And if you have a spouse, if you have kids, if you live with roommates, if you have friends or whatever, I would invite you to let them know that you are trying to finally learn how to say no, or you're finally trying to figure out how to create boundaries and see how they can support you. Maybe they'll ask if there's anything they can do. Maybe they'll just be aware. Either way, right? The more we tell people what our goals are, the more likely we are to actually achieve them. Okay. I hope this was helpful. If you have questions, share it in the comments or reach out to me. Y'all have my email address. I would love to help you. And if you are interested in the next steps, you can click the link in this description. You'll be getting an email as well with a reminder to pay for the next section, which is about an hour's long training. It's probably just over an hour, to be fair. Training on the next steps to learn how to say no and create boundaries so that they align with who you are, who you want to be in the world, the impact that you want to have, and the life and career that you want to lead. It's a bargain, I think, right? If you can undo 3 or 4 decades worth of behaviors for under, $50, I think that that's worth it. But who am I? All right. Please reach out. Let me know what you thought. Good luck. And hopefully I'll see you in the training. Take care. Bye.